Hey, gameological readers, welcome to another edition, yes, another edition of the Digest. We're talking about the games of July, and surprise, Steve Heisler's back.
Yeah, hello.
Gameological contributor Steve Heisler. I am, of course, gameological editor John Tatey, and you're much nattier than you were last month, I have to say.
Yeah, well, you made fun of me a lot for the shirt that I was wearing, as did other people who were watching the videos, so I decided to dress up really nice, but unfortunately I had a catering gig before this.
Yeah, you're looking a little party down. Now, where did you get the pink bow tie?
I got it from this store that's in the East Village that sells things to movies and stuff, and I guess this is an actual bow tie that they sold to the party down people. They had one left, and I bought it.
So this is an
actual party down
bow tie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is for the benefit of all of you at home, too, to see what success looks like. Purchasing party down bow ties.
Okay, and our what we're digesting this month is the Honey Nut Cheerios milk and cereal bars, filling made with real milk. Boy, you know, it's all when they have to say it. It just gives me pause, right? But let's give these a try.
Anytime I go to like a deli and they advertise that they have a beef burger, that always really turns me off because I'm like, yeah, what else was in that burger that they had to say that? I'm gonna open it away from the mic so that it doesn't make noise.
You're such a pro. You're such a pro, Steve.
Broadcasting legend. All right, ready?
Ready.
Oh, it's just like a stale.
Oh yeah, it's really bad.
It's like stale Honey Nut Cheerios Rice Krispie treat.
Can we get a shot of the inside? There's not a lot of real milk in there.
Not a lot of real milk. Also, when did milk become so sugary and hard? This doesn't look like...
Wow, that's brutal. Okay, well, we have two more of these we got to eat this week, so look forward to that. For now, we're going to move on to our game of the day, which is Spelunky. What if Indiana Jones movies were like snowflakes, plentiful and unique? You'd get Spelunky. Spelunky has been played millions of times by now, both on the PC and on this new version for the Xbox, and each of those playthroughs was different from every other. The reason is that the treasure-filled, snake-filled caverns of Spelunky regenerate at random each time you play, so don't bother drawing a map. Because there are no extra lives in Spelunky, the game is supremely challenging if you want to make it all the way to the end, but for lesser mortals like you and me, there are still plenty of surprises to uncover, and smaller victories to be won. We actually talked about these games on, or I talked about these games on the site last week with the Binding of Isaac essay. But let's explain how Spelunky works, because it's kind of an unusual way for a game to function, right? So the game's different every time you play it, or the caves are different, right?
Every time you enter the caves, they completely change the layout of the caves. So even though you play level 1-1 multiple times every time you start, it's a completely different level. I think from what I can tell, roughly the same difficulty. As in, like, you have bombs and you have ropes and ways to sort of get around things, but they're pretty linear at the beginning. They become less linear as you go on. That seems to be the case. Sometimes
there's going to be a big wall in the way in a certain place and you'll have to go a different way. Sometimes you're going to find a treasure or a shop of a particular variety. Sometimes you'll find a spinning wheel. What joy! But the point is that you can never predict how it's going to go, so it's really about... It's about reacting, being able to react. It's not about learning something, it's being able to react. And I really like that about it.
At first I was just trying to run through the levels as fast as I could because I wanted to get to the later levels so I could have shortcuts so I didn't have to deal with it. And that just didn't work because these things would keep firing darts and I would fall into them and I didn't know. So I started having to drop rocks down and be really careful and make sure everything was okay before I would go on. And then suddenly, like, I would knock a spider and it would knock me at a weird angle and I would land on some spikes. So after all my careful planning, there was still enough randomness that I would get really, really frustrated.
Yeah, dashing through is the ultimate folly, right? Because you cannot survive that way. And it's funny you say dropping rocks, because that reminds me of my college roommate once went hiking in Denali National Park. You know where this is in Alaska? And he did it apparently during the melt or some such. Anyway, the little rivulets and rivers or whatnot were high. And so what they had to do to get through the park when they had to cross a river is they would have to take a rock and throw it into the stream that they were going to cross and listen for when it hit bottom so that they could tell how deep it was.
Yeah.
And Spelunky's really like that. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just run across the stream. You have to cautiously throw the rock, or you have to look down and see what's below. But you can't, the other side of it is you can't dawdle too much, because otherwise the big ghost will come. And I love the big ghost. Have you gotten the big ghost?
I have gotten the big ghost, and it's terrifying when those words come on the screen, because suddenly it's like, I didn't realize there was something else that was going to come after me, and there it is. I also need to point out that I could not stop playing this game. Like, the less, I feel like the less information a game gives me about itself, the more I really want to play it to the point in which I have mastered it. And in this game, because the levels change all the time, it becomes very hard to master it, obviously.
Yeah.
And like, I have this little wimpy whip that doesn't really do much, and you can buy items, but they don't explain what the items do until you buy them.
You were talking to me before the show about the damsels, and you never figured out what that was.
No, there are these damsels that need to be rescued, and sometimes I would and sometimes I wouldn't, and I didn't realize that there was actually a benefit to doing it. I just thought, oh, it's a nice thing to do, like, be a nice person.
You were just being charitable.
And now that I know, now that I know that there is a benefit to it, I'm going to do it more. But I kind of liked when it wasn't immediately sure, or when I wasn't immediately sure what it was that actually
I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. And yeah, the damsel, like, gives you an extra, she gives you a kiss when you're going through, and that gives you a little more life, a little more mojo, which is important because you only live once.
Yeah. So true.
But I agree with you. I like that sense of mystery. I like picking up little accessories like spiky shoes or a jar of paste, and I think it gives you these tiny little explanations, but they're not always that. It's like 2-word explanations, and they're not always that telling.
Yeah. The world of the game is a character in and of itself that you're getting to know, versus like, this is a person that we're forcing you to identify with. Here's a part of the game that you're forced to do as a goal because we tell you to do it. No, this is just a game that gives you a world to explore, and the world itself becomes the character. And that's so much more powerful as a reason to play and as even a storytelling tactic. Like, there's not even much story, but whatever little amount there is, I really like.
Yeah. Well, keep at it. There's a lot more surprises for you.
I definitely will. I can't stop playing this game.
And I hope you enjoy it too. We went from a game that can sprawl out in all sorts of different directions, and tomorrow we're going to have Tunnel Vision with Dyad and a different brand of cereal bars, hopefully tastier than these, because these are miserable. We'll see you tomorrow.